What's up, Scorpio? So, we got a card description from a card from the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck by Adriana Yales, and then we get into the actual reading, okay? And this card is Rose with the subtext of love, union, bliss, unconditional love, merging with the other, oneness, nourishment, purity. In ancient texts in Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, the rose had a prominent presence, particularly in relation to balancing the emotions, relieving the heart of depression and grief, and treating psychospiritual imbalances. The rose is sacred to Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. Since ancient times, across the cultures, rose was associated to love, passion, commitment, and lust. Romans, Greeks, and occult societies suspended roses from the ceilings at meetings that were held in the strictest of confidence. Rose represent all aspects of the goddess of the almighty creatrix, ability to love, nurture, experience joy, and see beauty in all things. A popular flower that has come to be associated with weddings and rituals of union. Roses fill vases, are worn by participants and guests, and are often strewn about to bring divine blessings to couples' love. The herbs of Venus are feminine, gentle, relaxing, and balancing. Medicinally, rose has the power to uplift mood, nourish the heart and cardiovascular system. It makes an excellent uterine tonic that supports fertility and vitality. The antiseptic nature of rose makes it an excellent remedy for wounds and bruises. It also relieves spasms in the respiratory system, gut, intestinal tracts, and muscles. Rose's medicinal and energetic qualities resemble the archetypical nature of both Venus and the moon. It's time to allow for greater love in your life. Allow the dance of trust and intimacy to heal and open your heart. Like the rose, you're rising from harsh soil, through the path of thorns and challenges. As you grow and blossom in your journey, in your spiritual journey, look deep into your heart and see where you might need more love and affection. The white dove reminds us through childlike trust we can navigate the most challenging of pathways with an undertone of joy and presence. Remember you understand how love is the doorway, and through this sacred embodiment you are able to birth anything into manifestation. Let all creativity, all sexual and nurturing connection be attuned to the vibrational powers of unconditional love. All right. I guess a few things. One, the idea of this card when I first seen it, I was like, oh man. Another love message for Scorpio. It was just like, man, I don't really know if that's the one I want to do, but it was the card that was pulled for Scorpio, so I decided to go through with it. And the idea here is first off, for anybody who doesn't know, Scorpio is the fall of a lot of, or not a lot, but both Venus and the moon, or fall of the moon and detriment of Venus. So it's the most frustrating place for the moon, which is like kind of nurturing, home, stuff like that, family, and it is the place of it's a place of frustration for Venus, which is of course the Venusian elements of life in general. But that's love. That's love, partnership, romance, stuff like that. But in general, when I started reading this, it said merging with the other. And I started reading that and I was like, oh, okay. Makes sense. Merging with the other. And it kind of made me think, right? Because this idea of Scorpio, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And when you need to have an understanding that you will experience an actual relationship where you care about another person, and or you should definitely not shy away from that, because some people could be turning away. While I was reading this card, I kind of got the sense that I was like trying to be or reading the description, I was like trying to be perfect in a certain way, and I think that comes across here. The things, you're not going to get, like, you don't want to analyze love with like kind of like perfection. It needs to be just like this and needs to just be this and that. Love is gonna be, or love in terms of when you have partnership, it's gonna be something that you view as complementary to towards your life, okay, and that's how it is. When it comes down to people, when they're in your life, if you view them as complementary to your life, then it'll be that partnership will kind of blossom, and you should look for that in terms of understanding that maybe there is something that you're simply trying to create this checklist for, that is just simply not really what you're looking for in general, right? Because when somebody's complimentary towards your life, you need to understand that it's not going to be up to a checklist to determine that. It's not going to be up to our understanding of the words that the human language can come up with aren't going to quite describe what it means when you find the right person in partnership. It's not a thing. We can come up with words like love and stuff like that, but when it comes down to describing the experience of energetic exchanges that happen between a person that you quote unquote love, you'll see how, like, when you break that down, it really does come across as just the useless phrase or useless sound that we make with our lips, This idea of, I think, being in a relationship, there has to be a sense, like, I feel like Scorpio is, a lot of times they're protective of themselves. They're very protective of their emotions, and this idea is, it's beneficial. It's beneficial to have that understanding that maybe this is the thing, but it's also you need to understand that you need to live. You need to live like a good analogy I'm thinking of is Scorpio rules over deserts, right? So this idea of for instance, when a Scorpio chooses a passion or a purpose, there needs to be an element of, this is what I've chosen, right? So when it comes down to passion, the way we view it as in terms of a Scorpio really activating the actual potential is going across and traversing across the desert in full preparation for going across the desert, but with the knowledge of, hey, I can't really know I can't really expect, the idea of water with what's in sight, but I'm choosing to go down this path anyway. So that idea of, in the particular analogy, once you make that decision and something that you know that you're passionate about and that you're going to do and you're going to follow through with it, the potential in the Scorpio moves from that background noise where you may be thinking about maybe like you're just obsessing about certain thoughts or certain certain lifestyle changes or whatever, in terms of like keeping up with society or whatever. Those thoughts are repurposed to making sure that you do everything in your power to, or it's repurposed in terms of, I'm literally picturing like your energetic body having a mind of its own, and it's repurposed to not really trying to keep up with the Joneses anymore. It's more so purposed to doing what I can to make sure that I get across this desert, right? Because it has now become a life and death matter for that energetic body, and that's where the energy now moves to. You can take that analogy with really just partnerships and in general, right? If this person is somebody that you decided to be with, regardless of how you know it's going to turn out, you're going to be there, right? It's there is a potential for pain, there is a potential for everything, but you're going to do what you can, and you're going to make do with what you have. And hopefully that makes the other person happy, right? And hopefully that you'll be in a good relationship, right, for however long, for the rest of your lives or whatever, let's say, right? But that's not what you go in and expect. You just know that you just have to do everything you can to try to make it so. You do everything you can, right? So this idea of love and the other person, I want you to understand that this is you don't need to be in a particular situation to where you're just saying potentially like love is for me, or these things don't belong to me, or whatever. When you get in that particular category, or when you get into fall into those particular relationships, you'd be surprised. You'd honestly be surprised. And that's the idea here, is that don't go in with don't go in with an expectation in terms of a checklist, right? That's not how relationships work. You won't be happy if you get everything on that checklist. And it really does come down to energetic exchanges that happen between you and this person. So think about it like that, and try to make sure that there's something there for you, in terms of on that particular scale, that particular roller. Use that to measure whether you're going to traverse across this desert for this person or not. Okay? And also, the idea of roses having, if you have not tried rose like in tea, or was it rose tea? I think it is rose in the tea. Those things are like, it's really good, especially if you're feeling like kind of like emotionally down, you need some like cleansing or whatever. Those things are great. Or the rose tea is great, especially if you have like an apothecary that tries to get like certain herb, just local sourced, or not local, but well, local's better, I think. But the idea here is that if they get herbs from a responsible source, that's probably better and best. But I'm sure they have good tea out there in the stores as well. But definitely try to prioritize apothecaries if you want some rose tea in general. But if anything, that's going to be the reading. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good week. See ya.